Hi guys, this is Alease and I am here to share with you the grand opening of my shop, my Etsy shop, Pretties by Alease. And I've been on Etsy for a while, a few years, I guess probably maybe since 2011 maybe, but I really didn't do anything with it at first, and then I sold a few things and was on there for a while, and then I haven't been on Etsy in the last couple years, but I'm using my same shop, Pretties by Alease, and those of you that follow me on Instagram, you probably already saw that I have made some vintage styled journals, and I want to share those with you because they are so pretty and I just love the way they turned out. So the first one here is, I just love this, guys. Okay, so here's the first one. I used my sewing machine, and it's very kind of vintage style, but kind of shabby because I left the edges rough. I did some some stitching and left the strings hanging and things like that. But it is really, really pretty. I've got some. This is some vintage eyelet trim, and then this is just some ribbon here. But this photo, this is a copy of a vintage photo, and this is actually my husband's aunt, one of his aunts. She's passed away, rest in heaven. But this is his aunt, so I copied this photo and I put it on the front, and then I added some of this this lace here. I did a little bit of stamping. This right here is a piece of vintage. It's from a roll of vintage clothing tags. A friend of mine, her mom used to be a seamstress down in LA, and this was some of the trim that she got from, not trim, but some of the tags that she got from one of the warehouses. So that's really old. So I put some of that there, and then I got this little vintage earring that I acquired from the swap meet. And so there is the first one. It's so pretty. This fabric is so beautiful. And in the inside, I have a closure, a muslin tie closure here. And in the inside, there's just some coffee stained paper. And I love the way it looks. Now, this one came out a little darker, but I love the way it looks. And so there's pages so that you can write. And if you add embellishments, you can see that this would get pretty thick. So that's the first one. And I just absolutely love this one. And this is listed in my Etsy shop. So if you're interested in that, go over to my Etsy shop and you can see it. Or you can purchase it there in my Etsy shop. This second one is, this one is really pretty too. I love this one. This is more for this can be used for a bridal gift, anniversary gift, wedding gift, engagement gift. I just love this. This is so pretty. This fabric is absolutely beautiful. And this is all vintage trim underneath here. This is all vintage, some fabric and these vintage laces. Really pretty. And I've got some burlap with the muslin on top. And I stamped on top and put this little pin here. That's not going to come out. That's in there. It's nice and secure. Okay, here's another one of those vintage earrings that I showed that I got at the swap meet. And let me show you what the inside. This one, I used some of my sprays to dye the pages. And it turned out so pretty. Look at this. Okay, so in the inside, this one, I also added some flowers. I did a little bit of stamping. And there's some pages that I sprayed. Really, really pretty. And then on the back, I even embellished the back inside cover of this one. So really cute. And these are Tim Holtz die cut pieces. Those are. Okay, and there's the back of that one. So very pretty. So that one's there. And again, you can go over to my Etsy shop and take a look at that one if you're interested. And this one, whoops. Sorry, guys. This one, I love this one too. This one, I put these two little girls. There's some vintage lace with some burlap. I added some flowers, did a little bit of stamping, and then there's a piece of vintage lace underneath here. And I added this little charm. And again, it's closed with this muslin. And then I added some of this really nice, this is like vintage paper too. This paper I found at a thrift store, and it's got these little darker specks, but then I use my sprays to spray the pages, give the pages a little bit of color. And then this one I sewed in a lace pocket, so you can put some little notes or things there. Okay, and so that one is really, really pretty. I love the way this one turned out. Okay, so that one's that one's there. Okay, and that one's this. Now these last two, these two, oh my gosh, I love these two. This one right here, let me tell you about this picture, because now I have to say, guys, the Tim Holtz vintage people, I guess they're called found relatives, these die cut pieces, there's just not enough like people of color in those packs. So I went to my husband and I got some vintage pictures of some of his family members. This little girl, this sweet little girl in the middle, this is my husband's mom. And this is his oldest aunt, and that's his grandfather. So I got permission from my husband to use this print, and I just love the way this turned out. And so this one, I actually put a vintage button and wrapped the muslin around that to make the closure. Okay, and then I've got some vintage laces here with some muslin. Is stamped. It says "Enjoy the Journey." There's a button there, and this is all sewn around. And I've got some vintage buttons here, except for this little wooden one. That's not vintage, but these are. And then the inside, this one has some coffee stained papers. Okay, really nice. And this is lighter. This one it isn't dyed as dark, but I love the way that sounds and the way that feels. So that is that one. It's really pretty, and there's the back. Okay. Okay, and then this last one, I used that same image. Okay, there's my husband's mom. She's so sweet. Okay, and so I added a butterfly cutout here, and I stamped with this, with God, all things are possible. They're sitting on top of this vintage eyelet trim, and then again, here's some of that ribbon, but there's also some of this vintage, those little tags, clothing tags, and I've got a big pink button here, and this one is tied together. And this one is also coffee stained, and it's really nice paper inside. Some of these pages are darker, but I love the way these pages turned out. Look at that. I love how distressed these pages turned out. Okay, and so that's that one. And I just love this. This one has a pink cover on the inside. I love this. And so those are my journals that I added this morning, and I'm so excited about selling these. And then with some of the scraps that I had left over, I made some bookmarks, and I used some vintage trims. I added a little button, used one of the die cut pieces. I did some stamping, added this cute little pin here, and that's a little bookmark. And this one, now most of these journals are approximately 6 by 9. Some of them are a little bit bigger, some of them are a little bit smaller, but they're about 6 by 9. And if you go over to my Etsy shop, the measurements are there. And then this little bookmark, this is so cute. I added a little bead there. And then this next one, here's this one. I added one of the vintage die cut pieces. There's a little button, some stamping. This is all vintage trim. This fabric here, this fabric, and the lace that's underneath there, that's all vintage. And then I put one of these metal pieces here. Really cute bookmark. I love that. And then this one, I love this one. I used some muslin, this little button. This is all vintage fabric and trims. And then I added this really pretty safety pin on the side. That is absolutely gorgeous. So these are all listed in my Etsy shop. So you guys go take a peek. And I am taking custom orders. So if you would like to send me a picture of your relatives or a vintage picture that you particularly like, send me a message and I can make you a custom journal with your picture on top. So again, that's Pretties by Alease. And I'm looking forward to bringing you guys more journals and more handmade items and cards and things in my store. So go over and favor my store if you like. Go over and purchase if you like, or send me a message if you're interested in something custom. Give me a thumbs up on this video and share it if you like. All right, guys, have a blessed day. Bye.